My sweet jollof rice recipe. Now we can all agree that smoky jollof rice is absolutely incredible. If you want a recipe for that, I've already shared several on my channel. But the thing is, smoky jollof rice sometimes gets tiring. That's where this recipe comes in. It's super easy to make. You can enjoy it more often without getting tired. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. For this recipe, I'm using beef, but you can use chicken if you prefer. The cut of beef I'm using is called tri-tip or sirloin tri-tip. It's also called rump roast. This is my favorite cut of beef to use when making Nigerian dishes because it has a similar texture to Nigerian beef. Here are all the ingredients you will need to cook the beef. So some chopped onions, curry powder, salt, beef seasoning cubes, some fresh thyme. You can also use dry thyme and a little water. Cut the beef into smaller chunks, then transfer to a wide pot. Season with the chopped onion, a little bit of salt, beef seasoning cubes, the thyme, and a little water. We're going to let the beef steam, so just give this a good mix. Cover and allow to steam for about 15 minutes. The beef is going to release its own juices, which makes it super flavorful. After about 15 minutes, add a bit more water. Cover again and continue cooking for an additional 10 to 15 minutes or until the beef is slightly tender. When it's cooked, separate the meat from the stock, then save the stock for later. Next, we're going to make the pepper mix. For this, you'll need some bell peppers, tomatoes, scotch bonnet peppers. You can also replace that with habanero or just skip entirely if you don't like spicy food, and a little onion. Give everything a good rinse and clean the peppers by deveining and deseeding. Especially if you're using the local tatashe, make sure you get all the seeds out because that can make your pepper mix bitter. Also, if you like the taste of the scotch bonnet peppers or habanero peppers, but you don't want your food to be too spicy, you can take out the seeds and the veins of the peppers as well. Next, cut the peppers into smaller chunks. Do the same thing with the tomatoes as well. So for the tomatoes, I just cut those into quarters. When that's done, transfer everything to a wide baking tray, preferably non-stick. Add half a bulb of garlic, only if you like garlic. I also like to add a few sprigs of fresh thyme. You can also use dry thyme if that's what you have. Drizzle with a little oil and don't forget to add some oil to the garlic if you're using. Turn the garlic flat side down, then transfer everything to the oven and you're going to roast this for about 25 to 30 minutes. For roasting, I usually use the broil setting in my oven. You can also just bake at a high temperature. Make sure you check on it while it's roasting and turn it a couple of times so nothing burns. Transfer everything to a blender, press out the garlic, and then blend until smooth. This is what the pepper mix should look like when it's done. And if you don't have an oven or you don't feel like turning on your oven, there are other ways to make your pepper mix. My favorite way to do it without using the oven is by blending the tomatoes, peppers, and onions raw. Blend that until smooth, then transfer to a pot. Allow it boil down. The aim is to reduce the pepper mix so it's thick and it doesn't taste raw. It usually takes around 40 minutes to reduce in the pot. My secret ingredients when making sweet jollof is using lots of onions. So I usually use one very big bulb of onion or two small to medium bulbs. And if you don't like seeing bits of onion in your food, don't worry. I don't like seeing that as well. Most of the onion will melt into the jollof by the time it's done. The sweetness of the onions just perfectly balances the taste of the jollof rice, which is where the name comes from, sweet jollof. And I usually use red onions for mine, but if you're using white or yellow onions, you want to use a little less because it can be slightly sweeter. Now your prep work is done, it's time to get started with the jollof rice. So get all the other ingredients. So you have the rice, the pepper mix we made earlier, oil, you can use any neutral oil, some water, the meat stock from earlier, the finely chopped onion, tomato paste. You can use any brand of tomato paste you like. This is the brand I'm using for this recipe. For the spices, you need some bay leaf, curry powder, some thyme, salt, and beef seasoning cubes. And this is the brand of the beef seasoning I'm using. Before cooking the jollof rice, I like to fry the beef first just because I really like the beef flavored oil. You can also air fry the beef if you prefer. To do that, just place the beef in the air fryer or oven, spray with a little bit of oil, and air fry for about 10 minutes or so until it's golden brown. After frying the beef, I'll reduce the oil since we don't need this much oil to make the rice. If you air fried your beef, just start this process by heating up about a quarter cup of oil in your pot. And you can use any neutral oil you prefer. For jollof rice, I usually go with canola or vegetable oil. Add the chopped onions and then just fry this for a couple of minutes or until it starts to get a bit brown. So for this recipe, if you noticed, I'm using a non-stick pot simply because we're not making smoky jollof rice. If I were making smoky jollof rice, one change I will make to this recipe is to use either a cast iron pot or a stainless steel. So if you ever want to switch up this recipe and make smoky jollof instead, one change you need to make is the pot. Again, always make sure you're using either a cast iron or a stainless steel pot for the best smoky jollof result. So after frying the onions, go ahead and add the tomato paste, and you want to fry the tomato paste for at least 15 minutes. Add some more oil if you need to so it can fry better, and keep mixing it so it doesn't burn. You will know the tomato paste is ready when the color changes to a deep red like this, and also when it starts to separate. Next, add the roasted tomato pepper base we made earlier. You don't need to fry this for too long since the pepper mix is already fully cooked. Now it's time to add the seasoning, so go ahead and add the salt, the dried thyme, curry powder, beef seasoning cube, and bay leaves. I'm not a huge fan of bay leaves, so I usually limit it to 2, but if you love bay leaf, of course, feel free to add more. After getting the spices mixed in, go in with the meat stock we made earlier and half of the water quantity. Now give this a really good mix to loosen the sauce, then lower the heat, cover and allow to simmer for a couple of minutes. While it's simmering is usually when I like to wash and prep the rice. This is the brand of rice I'm using for this recipe. It's called Tropical Sun Golden Sela Basmati Rice. And here are some other brands that I've tried and I also love to use if I can find them. There are also so many other brands you can try. Just make sure it's Golden Sela or Sela Basmati Rice because regular Basmati rice doesn't really work for jollof rice. Wash the rice until the water runs clear. This is going to help remove some of the starch content so the rice isn't sticky when it's done. I like to wash the rice just before adding it instead of at the beginning while I'm prepping the other ingredients, because sometimes when you wash too early the rice tends to sit for too long soaking and the rice can become a bit softer, which can make your jollof rice soggy. Now add the washed rice to the prepared base and give it one final good mix before adding the water. And it's always best to mix the rice in first before adding the water so you can know how much water to add. Usually my water just sits slightly above the rice because you don't need too much water when making jollof rice, especially when you're using Sela Basmati rice. Next, cover with foil paper, and if you don't want to use foil paper, that's totally fine. All you need to do is add more water to the rice because what the foil paper does is that it helps trap the steam so the rice cooks with little water. Plus, it also helps the rice cook more evenly. Cook on low heat for about 40 to 50 minutes undisturbed. When it's done, mix thoroughly to get everything nice and even. And just like that, your sweet jollof rice is